and he is absolutely crushed.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to ISPN.TV. It's our annual preseason top 10s. Along with Marty Cesario, I'm Brian Roth, and well, Marty and I have been on the phone with a lot of coaches here this summer, trying to get an idea of who some of the top teams will be. And well, it's always tough to tell in the preseasons, but one thing was for sure: we knew who our number ones were going to be in Class 4A and Class 5A. You can probably guess that. But before we get to the 5A, let's open up with Class 4A and number one, the defending state champion Valor Christian Eagles. And Marty, anybody that does a top 10 in high school football in 4A, I think they're all going to have the Eagles at top.
We saw what was happening through 2010, and then obviously it was validated in that championship game. And the big key the whole time in the back of my head as we're calling that game is all these guys are coming back, virtually, except for the quarterback. The big key with Valor that I always talk about is they're going to wear you down. Up front, both sides of the line of scrimmage, their line play is just big, huge, thick, and dominant. They will wear a team out by the time you get to the fourth quarter. You can't hang. You got Alex Kozan, who's going to be playing some D1 football. On the other side of the line of scrimmage, you got Javon Johnson and Michael Mann, who are certainly some stout players up on the line.
Yeah, Eisenberg and Pint, the two linebackers as well, are outstanding. At Valor Christian, they won 3A 2 years ago. They won 4A last year. They are the odds-on favorite to win 4A here this year. Back to the top 10, there you see it. And how about Wheat Ridge checking in there at number 2? Yeah, they got thumped pretty good in that championship game, Marty, but they are probably the most experienced team in 4A right behind Valor Christian.
Yeah, still remember Reed Call at the beginning of last season saying how young they were, he wasn't sure, and then they went to the championship game, as you mentioned, and they're all back. Josh Brake, the Orc, is going to be playing both sides of the line of scrimmage. At linebacker, he's great, and then certainly a very talented running back, fullback hybrid. Guy to watch out for is Amos White. Davian is a guy that, you know, cosmetically looks like maybe a fancy player, but then you watch him play, and he can play real physically. Also, Nick Swanson, a great ball player for the Farmers.
Yep, as you continue to look, Longmont, led by Forrest Wetterstrom, had a great sophomore campaign last year at quarterback. He will lead them this year. There's Monarch West Moon, the safety, Division I guy, along with Gus Sawicki, the running back. He's back there. Going to have to replace Sloan at quarterback. And then Greeley West, they came in at 5-5 last year, but Mark Rogie squad right back there. Brandon Gallatin, the quarterback. David Eddy at running back, and boy, one of the hardest hitting linebackers, and Levi Doppler. And that's a Greeley West team that was down a little bit last year, but listen, that's a program that Coach Rogie has going and firing in all cylinders.
I always trust Rogie, and they've got a tight community up there, a good football community with Coach Rogie. And you mentioned a couple of those key players. With them coming back, that passing tandem with Gallatin and then Dowgan, who is not only a very talented wideout, but is a tough wide receiver too. So they should provide some fireworks, fun, and entertaining in the passing game.
And again, the rest of that top 10, you see a lot of Eagles up there. Pine Creek, Dakota Ridge, and Broomfield, both state semifinalists from a year ago. Prairie View, and then we threw Pueblo West in there at the very end. But what do you see there, 6, 7 through 10? Prairie View's a team that I know doesn't usually get a lot of recognition. They have a couple of D1 kids.
Yeah, including Jordan Vaden, so he's kind of a stellar guy to watch out for. And then Pueblo West, I think it's justified the way we're thinking, is Monty Pinkerton down there.
Yeah.
People are afraid to play them, and they move around all over the state, and then, that's when, like, Denver Metro squads start to realize, okay, these guys are tough, they're physical, regardless of where they are in that Pueblo community, kind of an affluent side of town, but they will pop you. Pinkerton always has them playing tough, so watch out for those Cyclones.
Yeah, Pueblo South should have a nice team this year, led by Mondrag. And of course, Loveland can never be counted out either. All right, that's a look at Class 4A. Now we go to Class 5A. And again, just like 4A, is it easy to pick the number 1 ranked team? And of course, it's easy when that team has won the past 3 state championships and when they have won 33 consecutive games. Mullen is atop of our list.
Siler Miles. I mean, there's a big reason why, and I'm really excited to see him in his senior season. He may be the best quarterback I've ever seen in a decade plus of watching high school football in Colorado. He's tall, he's skilled, he's talented. Also has a little bit of physicality to him. I remember the championship game where he blasted a DB on the outside to spring a wide receiver for a reverse for a touchdown. always with their defense, which is always what I say is the reason why Mullen is so successful, is their defensive play. They just don't let anybody score. This year shifts back to the D line. Remember the Goonies from 2 years ago? This year, you know, after the linebackers we saw in 2010, this year you're going to be seeing Tyler Hennington. He's a 3-year starter. You got Daniel McQueen and Patrick Healy up front. They will be dominated along the line of scrimmage there.
Yeah, Hennington, of course, going to the University of Colorado. The rest of that top 10 was just like in 4A, where we had the defending state champ at 1 and the state runner-up at 2. That's the way we're going to go in Class 5A with Regis Jordan Jungers is back at running back, one of the toughest pound-for-pound kids in the state. And, of course, Easton Salem is back at quarterback. Have a nice mix of offensive linemen and defenders coming back. So Regis is at 2. And you look at the rest of the top 10 there. Marty, what do you see? You know, you have Grandview and Cherokee Trail each out of that Cherry Creek League, almost called the Centennial League, the Creek League there. And a couple of Continental teams in there as well.
Well, I think Highlands Ranch at number 5 is going to be quite interesting. You got kids who've been watching for 3 years as starters. Remember sophomore year, they had just an amazing season, overachieving as underclassmen. This year, it's the swan song, the last hurrah for these guys like Joe Hansley, who can do just about anything, will line up anywhere. He's kind of like, I call him in the write-up on ISPN.TV. He's Coach Darryl Gorham's own personal Leatherman tool. You know, you just got to shadow him and try to find out where he's going to get that football. And then Steve Donatel, who keeps growing every season. He's up to 6'6" now. Talking about going to Nebraska as a quarterback. He's very talented. He's got a 6'5" wideout in Connor McFadden, who's certainly a dangerous weapon. A key with the Falcons that makes it intriguing: can they play tough defensive football and along the line of scrimmage, especially when we get deep into November and December?
Yep, and the rest of that top 10, as you look at it, Grand Junction, the Tigers from that western slope, they made a nice run last year to the quarterfinals. They have one of the top quarterbacks in the state in Sean Rubalcaba. He's a kid that's going to be playing D1 football, and 30 seniors coming back for Grand Junction. They're not afraid of anybody over here on the Front Range. They'll be tough. Chaparral, Bear Creek, and then Columbine, of course, it's led by Cameron McDonald, who rushed for over 1,500 yards last year and 25 touchdowns, and that is even with some injury problems late in the year.
Yeah, you might get 2 guys with 4 digits in rushing, talking about the 2 McDonald guys. That's why we had to respect Columbine and Coach Andy Lowry, so we slipped him in there at number 10. Junction, who you mentioned, we've had so many coaches talk about that, and you remember last year they shocked Regis, almost knocked them out of the playoffs. Yep. We're talking about the runners-up in state Class 5A, so you got to respect them with Rubalcaba. 31 seniors, you mentioned 17 returning starters. Coach Robbie Owens over there on the Western Slopes got something going on, and certainly some coaches of respect. And one thing I want to add, Chaparral, who's usually kind of a speed-driven offensive focus, this year the way the personnel lands, they've got a whole bunch of guys, 8 returning starters, and a whole lot of speed. They're lightning quick over on that defense. Them being forced to focus with some D, still have some players up on the offense. You got to watch out for those Wolverines. It may play out to where that different type of focus goes real well for Chaparral.
Of course, you can look for our high school football preview show, our 4th annual preview show on CET Comcast Channel 105. We also have our written preview write-ups right at the top of the page here at ISPN.TV. Go and check out and see what we have to say about your favorite team. And, of course, right here at ISPN.TV, you can see our entire game schedule, over 30 high school games coming your way here this year. For Marty Cesario, Brian Roth, there's a look at our top 10s. They're going to change throughout the year, but we think we have a pretty good grasp, at least at this point in August. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you the rest of the fall.
Far side, McCaffrey cut upfield at the 40. McCaffrey breaks into the clear. The freshman Christian McCaffrey will take it to the house.